Hello, Kansas City. Welcome to another wonderful episode today of what we're calling Life After, a show which explores really what paths open up and what students take as they finish their high school careers and move on out there into what we call the real world. So I am joined today with DeAndre Jenkins, who also was one of the students that I got to work with in my past. I was an educator in Kansas City for 16 years in a row in one particular building. And so I really got to experience a lot of people growing up. And it's been really fun to go back and find out, what has happened since we've lost touch. So we're joined today by DeAndre Jenkins. DeAndre, tell us what year you graduated, what school, and a little bit about what you remember about that year.
I graduated in 2011, and I went to Purcell Academy. And one thing I really remember was just the times, like my last 2 years, like being as a dancer, being able to like perform in front of people, and like did something I didn't think I was capable of doing. So that was something I would fondly remember from my time in high school.
Yeah, the dance program really had some moments there, as I remember looking back on, where really, really good stuff going on. So you were in some of the productions, yes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What were they? Do you remember by name what they were called?
Trying
to take me back too, because I would have probably seen some.
I can't remember them all.
Well, so let's explore that, like why you chose that as an example. Why does that stand out to you as like a really important part of that experience?
Because it was something I started, like I was transitioning to my junior year of high school, and I wanted to do something different. And I wasn't sure of what I wanted to do. So I kind of just went through summer school and just tried different things out to see what I liked. And when I did dance during summer school, I had so much fun doing it to where I just said, you know what, I'm gonna change my major to dance, because originally it was music.
I see.
And it brought fun into like my last 2 years of high school.
Very good. Yeah, some activity too. Like I would imagine it's great for exercising and kind of feeling like you're getting some of that out of your system every day as part of your goal. And that's really fantastic. All right. So you did your thing. You got into dance for a couple years, and then you graduated and walked stage. Yes. Remembering back to that moment. So what happened right after that? That's kind of another thing we're exploring in this show. Is sometimes when you're in high school, it seems like, who knows what I'm going to do right afterwards, but then the world kind of provides you a path, or you just really start doing something before you know if that's what you want or not. But what was your next move after you walked the stage?
After I walked the stage, I was kind of questioning what I wanted to do in the future. Like, what do I want to become? So after I graduated high school, I kind of went through the community college route to kind of just find my elements of like what do I want to become.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while for me to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, because originally I wanted to do business, and so I took a couple of business courses, but I felt like it wasn't for me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So as the years went past and I started doing more technology-based courses, I enjoyed it so much that I made the decision I would like to be a software developer, because I love working with computers, creating programs, and doing all those type of things. And plus, my mom told me, like growing up, I was always fond of computers.
Yeah.
in like electronical devices. So that was something that I was trying to find out, but eventually I ended up finding my place.
Very cool. So you went into a program or prepared to do software design, and where did you go? What did you do?
I went to DeVry University, and the program that I was in was called Computer Information Systems,
Gotcha.
which kind of gave me like got my feet wet with programming languages like Visual Basic, C Sharp, uh, Raspberry, like to name a couple, and those really opened my eyes to like the different types of languages certain programs are used to operate, and it was so fascinating that I was like, you know what, this is something I really want to do, like really want to learn.
Hmm.
So eventually I could just go out and just make my own program.
Gotcha. So, all right. So DeVry was a thing you finished after you started it, or it kind of helped you find out what would do next, or did you complete your program at DeVry?
I didn't complete it due to personal reasons, but it did give me uh, kind of the start, like a starting step to where I want, like what I want to be in the long term future.
Gotcha.
So I had to kind of had to stop going, but I'm planning on going back to finish my degree
Gotcha.
and try to become that person.
Very cool. So goals are never truly over. They just kind of, keep going if they were interested in them, and life kind of gets in the way a lot of different ways. That's for sure. So that's fantastic. You still got your eyes on that prize. What are you doing these days? And like, how is now, I guess, helping you get there, or are you having to do some things to kind of get back to being able to go that path again? But what's it like these days?
These days, I'm working as a like help desk analyst, which is dealing with the same as like working with computers, like helping people out that have computer issues. So it kind of I'm kind of staying into the hardware side
Mhm.
with computers. Um, I'm learning like off to the side a lot of the software like side of computers, so that way I can kind of get more familiar with other programming languages. So like if I ever want to like move on to a better opportunity, I have
Mhm.
the necessary skills and experience to entice my next opportunity to give me that chance.
That's fantastic. So yeah, that's great. You've stayed in kind of the career path with a little different role, but a chance to learn. That's important, young people, because yeah, in order to open other doors, sometimes you have to have the skill that will open that door. And so I was wondering, is it very competitive to be in this area that you're going into? Are there an abundance of people going into this path? Is it I guess that's my first question. Is it really competitive?
It's not actually not that competitive. It's really popular,
Uh,
and like it turned like if the only competitive part about it is just the hiring process is really the competitive part, because oftentimes you will be like side to side with someone that has more experience, like the necessary certifications for this position. So sometimes those things can be looked at as like, okay, this guy is well prepared, well like got certifications and everything, while you just looking at it as like I might have experience but not the certifications. Then you will think like, okay, what makes us different? And a company would look at it as like, this guy got the certifications.
gotcha,
So it's like we firmly believe he knows what he's doing.
gotcha.
Even though you have the experience, we not 100% sure.
Very cool. Let's explore that for a minute. So, what are some of the skills that you have to put in play every day to do your job? Like, I imagine you work with other people instead of just all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, can you help me understand? Like, did any of those skills come from any of the things you did when you were younger? Did you find that you had kind of practiced some of those things by going to school? How much did that translate into what you do now?
It actually translated a lot, because even though even though in high school I was more of a kind of like stay to myself type of person, but I was always friendly. I was always friendly to people that came and walk up to me, talk to me, like even like at lunch, like people would just come sit with me, talk with me and everything. So it's kind of, it helped me develop my people skills to where if in this line of work you are dealing with other people
Mm-hmm.
and you're working with other people, so oftentimes you have to interact with them in a professional manner,
Mm-hmm.
in a very respectful manner. So it's always those skills kind of developed as I was going through high school, because it was so many different personalities going through high school that I was seeing and dealing with,
Sure.
and a lot of people from different that have different personalities was able to like connect with me in a very good way because I was so like I would say I'm very versatile with their personalities. Like I don't judge. I don't kind of hinder, like kind of keep myself away from certain type of people. I welcome anyone.
Yeah.
So in this line of work, it's important to know that there are different types of people that you are interacting with,
Gotcha.
and it's best to develop those people skills. And it's also best to, like I told like a lot of people before that asked me how did I even get into this line of work
Mm-hmm.
and how what can I do to like do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I told them the best thing you can do is just know the basic ins and outs of a computer, like how to turn it on, how to get things plugged in, and all that stuff. Those are the main things that will make you like that will help you like start off in this line of work. And
Right.
then as you're doing it, you'll learn more and more and more. And that's kind of like the skills necessary for what I do.
Very cool. So that sounds interesting. I all these interviews, like when I go in assuming it's going to be about one thing, computers, it turns out it's about people, right? That's a really
Hmm.
interesting thing. I just talked to someone who sells cars, and he said the same thing. It's not about cars, you know. It's really about how well he can connect and not be a forcible person to make these people feel like he's pushing the car on them, but to have it
Hmm.
dawn on them that they really do like this and feel, you know, like he's helping them with all of their questions. And that I hadn't thought of it like that. I would think that the main goal and all the training surrounds like getting the car sold, getting the money in. But these days,
Hmm.
it seems like customer care is really something we talk a lot more about. So that's fantastic. I love that you recognize that about yourself and that you were personable and approachable and, you know, value that. And then seems like found a good job where that's important. So
Yeah.
on that note, let's pretend that either was either like way back when we were graduating or today, your choice. But there's something you heard or that young people might need to hear that you think might help you with their path or help them with their path. It helped you with your path. Do you have any of those gems of wisdom kind of from your past or from right now that you could help a young person think through? You know, what are they going to do right after high school?
Don't be limited. Don't be limited to just one thing. Learn as much as you can about different things, because ultimately, you might stumble upon something that you learn that you get a joy out of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always best to never limit yourself to just one thing. Learn as much as you possibly can about so many different things. Like when it comes to computers, cars, fashion design, any of those things. If you learn all those things and then say, you know what, this is where I want to go, you already have the necessary skills already there because you already learned them.
I got
So
you.
it's always best to not limit yourself to just one thing.
Amen. That's a fantastic one to remind. And I remember from somebody telling me like doors will open. So your trick is to be ready when they do and to recognize that moment. And I've had that in my career where I was sitting at something and realized that the person that does this role was no longer going to be in that role. And it started playing in my head like, could I do that? And if I try it now, I guess I'll find out. You know, if I never
Right.
try it, I guess I'll never know. So that's so neat. And also doing this show, I really realized I really enjoy interviewing and talking to people and learning about their lives and then helping other people maybe get to this discussion because it could really benefit them. So I've grown more passionate in doing this show than when we started. And the same thing, I didn't really ask. I just kind of started doing this and then showed it to some people and said, "Don't you think this would be a great idea My other goal would be able to grow it some more. We're asking other teachers now, is this thing's going to grow throughout the district, to interview people they know, because that personal touch of checking back in with somebody after a certain amount of years. And I would love if this was a national thing. Why don't we do this more in our world? Why do we just have people go out the door after high school like they don't have anything left to contribute if they came back? And so, sidebar, a little passionate about this, but it's been very, very awesome to have you on here. Anything you want to say to Kansas City? Because what's neat is Kansas City is listening to these shows. Occasionally, somebody tells me, like, hey, I saw you on a local broadcast channel. What are you doing these days? Are you on TV? Like, well, I guess so, right? That's what that was. To shout out to the city I've lived in my whole life. But what would you say to Kansas City right now? What do they need to hear?
Take every opportunity, to enjoy what you already have. Like, don't sit there and bash. Like every person struggles. Everyone in Kansas City struggles. Just keep pushing forward. Keep doing the best you can, and eventually, so further down the line, you'll eventually reach that destination that you've been wanting to get to.
Very good. All right, you heard it here, Kansas City. This has been another fantastic episode of Life After. If you would like to be on this show, we always make that opportunity known. Please reach out to me. I am Chris Odam, and I'm the English coordinator for the Kansas City Public Schools. And lately, I've really been reaching back to hear from a lot of Paseo students, as I worked there for 16 years. And when you look back and find out 16 years later what students are doing, a lot of the stories are just fantastic, fascinating, and extremely inspiring. So if you think you'd have one of those stories for somebody to learn from your path, please get a hold of me. But we're going to call it good for today. Thanks for listening. We're signing off from Life After. Thank you very much.